Welcome to Okaloosa Today, local news and information. Connecting the communities of Fort Walton Beach, Destin, and Okaloosa County.
Welcome to the April edition of Okaloosa Today on Cox. I'm Doug Rayner with the City of Destin, and in a little bit we'll hear from the City of Fort Walton Beach and Okaloosa County. First, I have the privilege of introducing Destin's brand new mayor, Scott Fischer, recently elected and joining me on the set today. Scott, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Good. Well, congratulations on being elected mayor. We're excited to see some new blood come into the council, as well as a new mayor, and looking forward to all the things you have to offer, and we're really looking forward to working with you. Today's purpose is to talk to you, get to know you, and find out who Scott Fischer is, Mayor Fischer, and let's just let's introduce you to our public.
Thank you.
And we've had a few discussions before this, but let's talk about you personally. Where are you from originally? I know you have some roots here in Destin, but you're back here now permanently, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
I spent the first 26 years of my life in Clovis, New Mexico. My father was publisher of the newspaper there for as long as I can remember, and I worked at the newspaper, been in the media business for most of my career. Went to college in New Mexico, and had my children were born in Clovis, New Mexico.
Right, and you said you had two children, is that right?
I have two children, two daughters.
Two daughters.
And the second one was 6 weeks old when we moved to Fort Walton Beach, and I became publisher of the Playground Daily News. At the time, I changed the name of the paper shortly thereafter, but that's what it was called then.
And the paper you're speaking of is a paper that most of our viewers read every day, and that's the Northwest Florida Daily News. So you have a background in media.
Yes. Spent 10 years as publisher of the Northwest Florida Daily News. Underwent 3 name changes during the period of time between myself and Marvin DeVolt taking over as publisher of the paper.
Right. Well, you came back here, I assume, for a reason. You've been around. You've told me some interesting places you've lived out in Colorado. I think you said you worked for a coroner at one time. I'm sure there are a lot of interesting stories around that. But you came here to Destin because you love the area.
I love the area. I always wanted to come back to it. I told that story to someone, and they said, people always seem to go back to what they consider home, and that's where they raise their children. My children stayed here. They both live their families are in Panama City. My mother, who's be 101 years old in the fall, is living in Panama City. Both my brothers are still in Panama City, and I came to Fort Walton Beach and lived here for 10 years, and then published the Panama City News Herald for 10 years in Panama City.
Right, and now you said you and your wife have moved back and live in Destin.
We live in Destin, obviously, as mayor of Destin, and we consider this, many people that I've been back 3 years now, and I'm sure I'm considered a short timer by many, but lived here 20 years running both newspapers, and I think of myself as an old timer.
Well, good. You have a lot of history here, so that's really interesting, and it's good to know that you came back here because you love the area. We love it too, and it's exciting to have new old people back, and we appreciate you getting involved in our community. Which kind of leads me to the next question: is you ran for mayor. That's a step in your life, I assume, that you maybe planned or didn't plan for. So tell us a little bit about why you ran for mayor.
When I bought a home on Holiday Isle, one of the larger communities, homeowners associations in the Destin area, I think probably in the county, and almost immediately ran for the board, got interested in local politics and the things that were going on in the community. And at the very first meeting, they elect officers normally, and I wound up as president.
Congratulations.
Which we had quite a bit of relationship with the city, obviously. There were conflicts and areas we needed to work together on, and various projects. So I became a regular at the city council meetings and got to know some of the staff and got interested in the city. became involved in the Envision Destin project. I think I attended every Envision Destin meeting, no matter what region of the
You
town
put
it was
in a
held
lot
in.
of hours for that, right?
And it was very interesting, and there were things I could accomplish as an outsider and things I couldn't, and I just developed an interest in becoming an insider within the organization. And I hate to use the word change. It's a cliche that's overused, because if there's anything that is certain, it's probably death, taxes, and change.
Yeah,
Everything
right.
changes and rarely goes back. You're always moving forward. But I was interested in trying to contribute more to through the Envision Destin program of directing the direction of change in Destin. I really like the fishing village atmosphere, and that's what I came back for. That's what I remember Destin as.
Right.
The area, very beautiful beaches, and the mix of tourism and the old timers and families that have been there for 2, 3, and 4 generations. It was where I wanted to retire.
Sure.
It was the kind of area I wanted to live in, and I could see a lot of change taking place, and I kind of wanted to put my 2 cents worth in, so now I have the opportunity to put a little more than 2 cents in.
Yeah, you do. Well, good. You mentioned the term family, and that's something that Mayor Ponder really pushed hard his 2 years as the mayor. Expand on that a little bit. I know that we had the conversation before that that's just something that's important to you.
I probably wouldn't have thought of that except for Mayor Ponder. He was a big proponent of family, and I guess I didn't realize I am too. I like the family atmosphere, and the more you see of the effects of the type of tourism that Panama City has attracted over the past few years, the more you value that family atmosphere. Living near the beach, I was seeing the change, the number of short-term rentals, the amount of people that were coming to the beach to do things they would never do at home.
Right.
And disrupting the lives of many of the folks that live year-round in Destin. And that was one of the things that I wanted to play a key role in the Envision Destin project, was to try to influence more of a family atmosphere and less of a party atmosphere. And that probably was a hook that got me into this.
Sure. Well, you mentioned the fishing village, and that is what Destin was, and a lot of people would like to see it remain or become a fishing village again, and that vision of family it certainly folds right into that. That's very nice.
Great, and I would like to be able to easily see that fishing village without looking over a 200-foot condo to see it. So,
Well, that's something that we'll talk about in a minute, is where the city's going, actually. Some things that you've been a part of. You said the Envision Destin process, as well as now being part of the council and the mayor, and how things will shape and move forward from here. You mentioned change. Some things are going to change, some things need to change, and some things will stay the same. Tell us a little bit about some of the things you enjoy about the city, the positives that you see here.
I think we've hit a lot of, mostly it's the people. It's a great place to live. A lot of friendly people. The beach atmosphere, I like that. I wore a coat and tie for at least 40 years of my career. And part of the time I wore a sheriff's uniform, which had a tie. And so I was ready to get rid of that tie and put on a pair of shorts and go to the beach. And I really enjoy the atmosphere. And I think that's why most of the people that have settled here and stay here, they enjoy the beach atmosphere. Maybe not the partying all night. Some of us are getting a little old for that. but the basic fishing village, more the fishing village atmosphere, the quaintness of the small town beach atmosphere, a little less of the all-night discos.
Sure. And I understand that. You're right. And again, that folds right into that family environment that this city, the council, and mayors before, even Mayor Sievers, has promoted that family atmosphere and environment. I think it's a great place to raise a family. It's a great place to retire to. It's a great place to grow up. And And I think you've hit the nail on the head with that.
I'm glad you mentioned the two previous mayors too, because as I started the campaign, I started trying to discover their writings. And some of it probably was polished by you, but some of them are in city documents. But Mayor Severs and Mel Ponder captured that, and I'm not going to try to add to it. But I'm going to try to pick up the same flag they carried and continue it.
Well, very good, very good. Let's talk about some of the challenges, some of the things that we're looking at. And we've had conversations, but tell us a little bit about your perspective on the city as it stands today.
Of course, this is no surprise to anyone that has been here, but it was a little of a shock to me coming back only 3 years ago. But I guess the initial impression, and it's not necessarily a good impression, not bad either, but first thing you do, you hit the streets, and they are crowded. Mm-hmm. And starting this week for the next 6 to 7 months, hopefully for all of our seafood restaurants, it will stay crowded. But the infrastructure of the city has not kept up with the number of people that live here. And not necessarily is that a criticism of the people that have been running the city for years. Mm-hmm. The structure of the landmass is such that there's no place to put another 4-lane highway through Destin and you can drive through at 55 miles an hour. And I understand that about 70% of the traffic is going through Destin. Transient. It's not starting there and going through. So 70% of those cars on the road are just driving through Destin. And I don't see the day that they're going to build a 4-lane road across the bay and bypass Destin to relieve traffic. So we need to be focusing on how we can live with the restrictions on the infrastructure we have in Destin so that we maintain the family high quality of life that most of us moved here for.
Sure. And in your term as mayor, you ran on for the last half of Mayor Ponder's term, so you have 2 years in this current term that you're in now. You will probably see a good bit of movement on Highway 98 and a good bit of change. There's some traffic signals coming in the next couple of months to help pedestrians get across the street and things like that. That's infrastructure is huge.
I think over the next 2 to 3 years you're going to see big changes in 98. It's going to be narrowing of the lanes, may even slow traffic a little bit, but it's going to develop a much better pedestrian walkways, openings to businesses on the south side of the street, maybe even underground utilities, bicycle paths, alternate forms of transportation that can be utilized down in that area of town. And hopefully we're well on the way to a bypass road. It won't relieve a great deal of traffic on 98, but at least for the people that live in Destin and know how to utilize it, there is going to be an alternate route.
You're speaking of the Crosstown Connector, and we have some of that coming back to council actually very soon, and you're right, that'll be moving. Of course, as you know, the infrastructure projects are expensive and take a lot of time, and hopefully some of that will move a little quicker. And like you said, we're also down the road on some of those things too. Another thing that we've discussed some and that is top of mind, we probably beat it to death on this show, but is our comprehensive plan. You mentioned the Envision Destin process, just getting passed, but now there's a lot of heavy lifting, and in your tenure here you will see a lot of work on that, the Land Development Code, and I know that's important to you.
The Land Development Code, it's overused, but the devil is in the details, and as you start the specific rule writing and how you're going to limit construction or whatever, how you're going to regulate and move forward with the Envision Destin plan is going to be a very tough process, and I imagine for the rest of my term we will be dealing with that. We've got to work out exactly how the rules will be applied. We have, I guess, an umbrella now that a document that will give us direction, but the specifics have got to be, it will take a lot of time and effort by the new city council.
Certainly, you're right, and the devil is in the details, and it will be very important to vet all of those things through with, like you said, you will be working on that a lot over the next 2 years. And something we mentioned just in passing was the idea of redevelopment. That Destin has a very small footprint. It's fairly well built out. That a redevelopment could be encouraged to bring to light some new faces around here, at least structurally anyway.
Yes, I believe Destin's probably 92% built out, but there is, particularly in the old city center area, there is quite a bit of acreage. Of course, it's developed, there's buildings on it, but most of them are reaching an age where they're due to be remodeled, and that area needs a new life and maybe a new direction. Maybe a combination, commercial, residential, something to bring it back to what it was 20, 30 years ago. That was probably the center of the city as far as commercialism, and now it's spread out all over the area. And many buildings there are not a large number, but a percentage of the buildings there are empty and need to be refreshed and be a great project. And I think you're going to see a lot of attention paid to that area by the City Council. Maybe more planning than activity the next 2 years, but certainly will be laying the foundation to redevelop that part of Destin.
That town center, as you mentioned, and revitalization of that would be really nice for the city to have that hub, that central location of gathering. I agree with you 100%. We're just about out of time. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I mean, we just appreciate you being here and glad you came on. Actually, on short notice, you've done very well, so we appreciate it.
I guess as mayor, I need to close out. My main job is not to change the city of Destin or legislate the city of Destin, because the mayor is somewhat of a figurehead position within the charter of the city of Destin. So I'm here to reflect the city council's wishes, the citizens' wishes, and most of all, invite everyone down. The cobia tournament has just started. Fishing should be great this summer. Looking forward to a big tourism year, and hope everyone in Okaloosa County will find their way down to the restaurants and fishing fleet in Destin.
Very good. Well, thank you again for being here. Really appreciate that. And you'll be on the show again very soon, I'm sure.
Thank you.
I want to give a quick update on some things going on in Destin just to catch your eye. We have council meetings on April the 4th. Library Week at the Destin Library, April the 10th through the 16th, another council meeting on the 18th. We have a coastal cleanup coming up on April the 22nd. That's in conjunction with the Choctawhatchee Basin Alliance. We'd love to have some volunteers come out for that. You can contact me at City Hall, 837-4242, or the Choctawhatchee Basin Alliance, or just show up 8 o'clock at Noriega Point for that cleanup. The Miss Destin pageant's on April the 23rd, and in May we have a council meeting on the 2nd. The City Council will actually have their annual visioning session on May the 3rd, and then we celebrate Founders Day on May the 7th. Thank you for watching the show today. Thank you for visiting with new Mayor Fischer, and we hope you stay tuned for the City of Fort Walton Beach and Joe Soria next.